So what we're going to be looking at today is our TagDoc software. And basically what that is a barcoding solution, so that when a document is printed, as it goes through its life cycle and eventually gets scanned back into the system, we can send the document to an archive or start another process if that's what's required. So what I've done so far to configure my server here is basically I've downloaded the software from our website, and I've installed the main product, which is Reform Enterprise, and I've installed the TagDoc plugin. And those are the only two requirements for this demonstration. TagDoc does require the .NET framework to be installed. I believe it's version 2. And it also installs a SQL Express on the server if you don't have a SQL server already existing. Let's see. So I've installed the software, but I haven't configured anything yet. I believe I also registered it quickly, just as an evaluation. And what I'm going to do here is just going to open up my Reform Designer. And here we have the Reform Designer. Now, to start the demonstration, the first thing I need to do is basically select the form or overlay that I plan on using, as well as the data stream. And to do that, I'm going to use one of the templates that we have that's installed with Reform. So I'm just going to go to File and New. And the template I'm going to choose is the TagDoc invoice form. And when it asks me if I'd like to open a text file, I'm going to say yes, and browse to my backups directory. And you can see there's a TagDoc data stream there as well that matches up to the form. So this is what our sample form looks like, and it's just a basic invoice. And you'll notice there's an invoice number, and the document actually has 3 pages. And what we're going to see is when this document is printed with a barcode, we'll actually archive the document based on the invoice number, as well as the customer ID, so that we can route the document dynamically based on the information that was used when it was printed. Now, to start the configuration, the first thing we're going to do is on the Reform toolbar, we have this Wizards option. And the wizard we're going to use for this demonstration is Multiple Destinations. And it's going to ask me if I'd like to save my form. And since it's a new form, I'm going to go ahead and just name this TagDoc. And I'm just going to follow through the wizard. So I'm going to configure my TagDoc form and use the data stream I already have selected. And now it's going to ask me where I would like the document to go. So for TagDoc, we want it to go to a printer. You then have the ability to select a printer. And the next question after you have your printer selected is if you would like to add the TagDoc barcode to the form. And this option will only be displayed if TagDoc is installed. So we're going to say yes and continue. I'd like the barcode to be in the upper right corner of this document, and it's just going to appear up above the information. Now, if it's not put in the position on the form that you like, you can always open the form manually and move the position rather easily. Now what it's going to do is the wizard's going to gather the information of where the document should go after it's scanned. And I only have Save to File installed. So Save to File is going to basically act as my archive system. And it's just going to save the document to a folder on my system or on a network. I'm going to choose to save a PDF file. Okay. Now for the archiving part, it's going to ask me where I would like to save the document to. I've created a folder on my desktop that I'd like to use. So here you can see my archive folder. Next. Now it's going to ask me basically the folder structure that I'd like to create for the document. And you could create as many subfolders as you like based on the information from the data stream. We're only going to use one for the demonstration just to keep it simple. So for the first folder, I'd like to choose the client ID or customer ID. And then it's going to ask if I'd like to create a second folder. I'm just going to say stop because one subfolder is okay for the demonstration. And now it's going to ask about the file name. And for the file name, I'm going to have it archived by the invoice number. So the wizard is going and configuring those forms for the output I selected. And once it's done, it'll ask me if I'd like to do anything else. I'm just going to say finish wizard because I've completed the workflow that I want to create. And click on finish. And you can see the wizard completed. And now we can press OK. So now we're ready to basically demonstrate the workflow. We've configured our forms and the data stream to go to the correct locations. And now I can close my designer. And I'm just going to browse to my reform directory. I'm basically going to simulate printing a invoice by copying the data stream. Now, one thing we need to do before we go ahead and do a print job is we actually need to configure the reform spooler monitor as well as the tag doc service. There's two reasons for this. One is, since I've just installed the software, the services are running as just a network service, which may not have permission that's needed to access the SQL database as well as the folder structure that I've chosen for my archive. So it's always important to remember to give them an account that has permission to all the required locations. So first thing I'm going to do is change the tag doc service to run as just an account I created on the server. And I'm going to restart that. And the reform service as well. The other reason that we need to restart the reform spooler service is because we've just created new forms. And one of the requirements is that when a new form is created or deleted, the reform spooler service needs to be restarted or refreshed so that it knows that the forms have changed. Minor changes usually doesn't require a restart, but adding new forms does. So we're just going to set the account and restart the service so it notices all the changes, and we're ready to go. Okay. So here I can copy my tag doc data stream and basically copy it to my spooler folder. And this is essentially where the data stream would be created if a customer was printing to the print driver or printing from Unix. We would basically just drop the data stream to this folder. So by pasting it here, I'm simply simulating the print job. And you can see the file name begins to change as Reform is processing it. And I'm not sure if you could hear that, but the printer just started up to print out the document. So what we actually have here is a camera that hopefully will help. So now I'm just going to take a walk over to that to scan the document. And what we have is basically the 3 pages that we've scanned, or printed, I'm sorry. So we have the 3 pages that we printed. Each of them has a unique barcode on the top. And something special about the barcode, you'll notice that it's not a typical barcode that you see every day. One of the reasons for that is this is what we found to be the best, the most reliable. It handles damage very well, or writing through it. And that's one of the reasons it looks a little bit strange, but it basically makes the process more reliable. So here we can see the 3 documents, and I'm just going to write on this one, paid, paid in full, and on hold. And I'm just going to put them in the feeder here and scan them to the designated folder. So what I've done when I scan those documents is basically I've created a multi-page TIFF file and a specified directory. TagDoc is basically looking in the directory for that file to appear, and that's what the TagDoc service is really doing, is it's scanning for that file. And once it finds it, it's going to process it and split each of the pages apart to read the barcodes, and it's going to then send it to the archive system that I've created. So we can see here in the spooler folder the files have started processing, and you see them disappear. And within my archive folder, you could see 3 folders created, one for each invoice. And within the folder structure, there's the file with the invoice number. When you open the PDF, you can see the barcode number, the invoice, the document was paid in full. And that's basically the TagDoc workflow.